Hi, welcome to episode, what are we up? Episode 5?
I
Episode
think
5,
so.
episode 4 of the Tertiary Mentorship Program. My name is Isaac. I study Commerce and Economics at the University of Queensland, and I'm joined with Tian and Luke. Do you guys want to quickly introduce what degree you do?
Yeah, I'm Tian and I study business and law at QUT.
I'm Luke. I study and law at QUT.
Awesome. And actually, in this episode, we might even mention our majors that we're doing. So, in my commerce major, I'm majoring in finance, and in my economics degree, I'm majoring in quantitative methods, which might sound all foreign to you, but we're gonna break it down. And what are you majoring in?
Yeah, so I've changed my major a few times, which is completely fine. I'm doing management right now, and law doesn't have a major; we just have minors instead. And Luke, what about you?
I'm majoring in my business degree in accountancy, and then obviously, like with law, you can do minors. So
Yep, still deciding because it is a 5.5 year degree, so you've got time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess today we're going to be talking about what kind of person and it suits a business, economics, or law degree. And also, I do feel like they are interrelated. As you can see, two people do double degrees that include business and law together.
It's
I
pretty
do a
popular.
double degree that combines some sort of business and economics together. And we're going to be talking and explaining the differences between all these things, because you might be looking at your QTAC application and wondering what a Bachelor of Economics is, wondering what a Bachelor of Commerce is, wondering what a Bachelor of Business is, Bachelor of Law, what's the difference between law and law honors? Is there a difference between advanced business and normal business? If you get a good OP, should you do a deemed honors program? Something. We're going to be breaking all of that down in this episode.
Things that we wish we kind of knew.
Definitely.
in
And
hindsight.
in Bundaberg, you don't understand the difference yet, but you will. We're going to break it down for
Yeah.
you. Awesome. What do we want to start with? Do we want to start with commerce?
Luke and you both have a background in that.
Yeah, awesome. I might just run through quickly the difference between different programs. So you might be looking right now and there's different business programs. So if we just compare a few to start off with, at UQ, for example, we have a Bachelor of Economics, a Bachelor of Commerce, a Bachelor of Business Management, a Bachelor of Advanced Business, a Bachelor of Advanced Finance and Economics, and a Bachelor of International Hotel and Tourism Management. I feel like there's one more, a Bachelor of Communications. So they're like the business degrees of UQ. And do you want to go through the Griffith and QT ones, Luke?
So I know well, I don't necessarily know every business degree, but I know most of them at Griffith. So obviously you can do your general Bachelor of Business, but you also have the choice of doing commerce, which includes like economics, financial accounting, finance, all that. You can also do like a Bachelor of Hotel Management and everything like that, but I don't really know too much because I wasn't there for too long, but I know for QT, for example, that if you do get a really good OP, I would definitely recommend doing the Dean's Honours program for business, because I'm pretty sure there's a scholarship involved with that one, so that can be quite handy. But I know there's also like your general like business school. We don't actually have commerce, so it's just a business degree all in general. So yeah.
And we'll talk about also there's advantages and disadvantages of that as well. So we'll break down a Bachelor of Commerce first. Commerce basically, if by definition, is the act of buying and selling. But at university, you study the numbers of business, which might sound a bit scary at the moment, especially if you're not like fond of maths. And obviously Maths B for UQ is a prerequisite, so maybe keep that in mind as well. So you need to do, you guys are calling it, I think, methods now, mathematical methods or specialist. You need to do one of the two or both. So you need to kind of have done Maths B, which I think is probably important to mention because you need to do that for both an economics, advanced economics, and finance. You need to also have done that for economics degree, and you need to do that for advanced business. They're a prerequisite for those 4 different degrees, which is important to mention because if you didn't do Maths B, that kind of rules you out for those degrees.
Commerce,
yeah. At UQ, you can still do commerce at Griffith, I'm pretty sure. But okay, so a Bachelor of Commerce to start off with is for at UQ, you can major in finance, business, information systems, which is basically like operations stuff with using maths and coding, and you can also major in finance. Yeah, finance, accounting, info systems. Basically, that from a business point of view is all the numbers, and it's also probably the most valuable type of business, most employable type of business, I'd say, because you are getting a lot of technical skills. How do you feel about commerce? Like, and how's it kind of different from business? Because I know you started in commerce and now you're doing business.
I mean, that wasn't really, I guess there's not really much of a difference, I feel like, because obviously QT and Griffith are different. Like Griffith doesn't offer, QT doesn't offer commerce, but I'm still able to major in accounting. So I don't really, like, just coming from there, I don't really see any difference. But I guess it's just the way the uni decides to define of what they are. But I guess like finance, like all to do with like commerce and stuff like that, I guess commerce can sometimes be more of the harder degrees within the scope, because obviously finance is probably considered one of the most hardest degrees out of all of them. So definitely, if you're considering finance or whatever, like as you recommend, I'd probably like do the obviously Maths B and everything's a recommendation. So
yeah, it
Definitely would help.
yeah, if you're watching this also, if you're in grade 10 right now and you're like figuring out subjects, I wish I would have done a Maths C or specialist, even though I would have struggled. I think I would have struggled less at university if I had done specialist maths or methods and specialist. I think that's your terms for it. We called them Maths B and Maths C. You might still be familiar with those.
Do you know what Math A is?
Yeah, Maths A. It's general. So maths general. Yeah, maths general. And then there's a foundations one.
Okay.
Well, I guess for me, because I did accounting in high school, so that actually really helped me when I started.
I wish I would have done that too.
I also wish I did that as well.
Yeah, like I started accounting in year 11 and 12, and it actually helped me so much because you'd already grasped the basic concepts. So when you actually went in there, you weren't trying to figure out what they were. You already had that.
And it's kind of hard to grasp the concepts of that. So
yeah. So I guess so moving on from commerce, I'm going to just talk about Bachelor of Economics, because you can also go into a business degree and major in economics, and you can go into a commerce degree in some universities and major in economics.
Yeah.
But I guess the difference, the way degrees are structured and why we have a major, is you do what UQ calls a group one, or your group one or part A or something like that.
And QT just calls it core unit.
Core units.
Yeah.
So they're subjects that every single person studies before they major. This is also great because you get an opportunity to do a subject in each of the majors, and that also will let you know what you enjoy most. Our economics degree, for example, is a little bit more the way a law degree is structured, in the way that they have a lot more core units or compulsory units. So for me, doing an economics degree, I do, I think, 18 units that are core, or like group one units before I major, and then my majors, and then I major afterwards. So you do, in economics degree, you do a lot of economics and you do nothing else. Whereas when you major in economics in a business degree, you're able to touch all the areas of business before you major in economics. Whereas in economics, you touch all the areas of economics, and then you major in a certain area of economics. Because economics changes a lot and there's so much breadth. And I guess if you're going to pick a second major, a lot of people do pick economics because it's very broad. So getting a taste of all those different types of economics as a second major in a business degree is really valuable, and employers look for that. But also at the same time, if you do want to get into, like finance or economics and things like that, or consulting, having an economics degree is really, really beneficial, because a lot of consultants and business analysts and stuff have economics degrees, because it gives you a really good idea of how to go about a business. And if you want to know what economics is as well, like a definition, basically, I think everyone knows what the economy is, so how everything works, but there's also how individual firms work. So that's a microeconomy. So that's kind of my interest, because I like to know how a firm performs and things like that. So there's that aspect to it. There's also a statistics approach to economics. So analyzing data and stuff like that, which is really, really, really employable, and pretty much what I do right now. And then we have public policy, which is more working government sector, but also you can do consulting with public policy and consult on public policy. And that's really interesting, especially if you want to become a prime minister or something, which is possible, by the way.
Exactly.
And you'll probably meet people at university who you think, oh my God, they're probably going to be a PM.
You want to be a PM.
Yeah, literally there's people that have those aspirations. So that there's that kind of thing, and then there's also like resources and also positive externalities. So like making sure that you're making policy that is helping the nature, is helping the environment, helping. So if you want to help people in not a direct way, so like you want to have a positive impact on the world, but you don't necessarily want to be a nurse or you don't want to be a teacher or something like that. Economics is a great way to have positive impact by still having a corporate job.
Yeah.
Business. Do you guys want to talk about business? Like it's pretty similar to business management, but you have like almost at QUT business and commerce, like what we call a UQ a business management degree, and what QUT calls a business degree.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah. So QUT combines the two degrees to be business, bachelor of business, pretty much.
Yeah. So how many majors do we have? I think it's 8. So accounting, finance, economics, international business, management,
marketing,
public relations, human resources, financial planning, advertising. Yeah, so there's a lot of majors to choose from, which is why I'm finding it so hard to pick my major.
Yeah.
I feel like you said it well before, how like basically the same as a UK business management degree.
Yeah.
I think we just touch more on like broadly business.
Yeah.
How are you finding the business degree, Luke?
I mean, it's quite enjoyable. Like, I feel like if you do go into a business degree and you still have no clue of what you're doing, like, don't feel pressured, like, as soon as you get into, like, business school that you need to know your major. Like, you're going to cover so many provisions and so many, like, different aspects that you should be able to make a decision, obviously, when you go through them. But, like, I guess, like, QT, like, business school, it's just got a broad variety compared to, like, for example, law. Like, you only do, like, a specific, like, core units all throughout, whereas business school, you can really do whatever you want. And I also know that you in business school, you can not only just do one major, you can actually do 2 if you're just doing, like, the separate, like, just by business by itself. So, yeah.
I know a few people that are doing 2 majors. So one of our friends is doing marketing and finance, which is, I think, covers a lot for what she wants to do in her career, which is really good.
It gives her 2 different avenues to go down, and keeping your options open, especially when you're young, like you're less mature in your degree, is really important, because when you start working in industry, you find out what you like, what you don't like, and it's not until you actually start, obviously when you're studying something, you find out what you like to study and what you don't like to study. But what you actually like to do in a practical setting can often be different to what you like to study. Like, for example, I would have really enjoyed just doing an arts degree and learning about, learning about all those types of things. But in saying that, I don't think I would have enjoyed working in that industry.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep that kind of in mind. And I knew a corporate environment was definitely for me. But,
yeah, me too.
if you really, I think a business, economics or law degree really suits you if you're very, very ambitious. And if you really want to achieve a lot of, I guess, wealth also in your life. I know a lot of people maybe think like law, for example, is really high paying. It is when you're senior.
And if you get into a good firm.
If you get into a good
firm.
Type of law. But there's a thing with our degrees is there's jobs that pay this much money and there's jobs that pay this much money.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are a doctor, you earn between this much and this much. Whereas with our degree, you can earn this much.
It really just depends.
Or the sky's the limit.
I think how hard you're willing to work.
Yeah.
Which I think us all 3 are going to work very hard in our careers.
Exactly.
Like, I guess throughout, like, these degrees, you just can't expect anything to happen. Like, you can't just sit there and thinking throughout your whole degree that you don't do any extracurricular activities, because they're actually such an important part. And especially, like, when you're going for jobs in law firms and stuff, they definitely look for that, because it means that you're just doing more than what your degree requires. So
that you have a life outside of your degree, and I think you can relate with that as well.
So so like I'm obviously not I'm graduating a bit sooner than these guys because they're doing their honors as well with law, and my double has a lot of overlap, so it's able to make it a bit shorter, which is good. But because of that, I'm in the point where I need to start getting pretty intense with getting employable. Pre-penultimate year things. But okay, so first of all, I just want to finish explaining the degrees, because I think that we can go on a lot about networking and stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, also at UQ, there's a business management degree, which if you don't like maths but you like the understanding of business, I think that's great, because it cuts out all the other stuff you're not interested in. So that's more of like a specialized thing. You can also major in things that complement each other. Communications is even less maths. It's very almost like, yeah, it's almost humanities kind of subjects, but you do a lot of writing, a lot of if you like words, if you like English, but you want something that's more corporate and more professional, that's definitely an avenue you can go down.
Yeah.
Hotel tourism management, obviously that's very niche. So if if you really enjoyed like, if you ever went on holidays and stuff and you really enjoyed being in a hotel or stuff like that,
It's quite interesting.
or you like event management's one of the majors in that degree. So if you like organizing events, you like party, like you like to the back end of parties, if you ever enjoyed organizing some sort of event or some sort of party, or that's definitely something you can go down, and that's the degree you should choose if that's your kind of path. And then we've at UQ we also have and actually no, at both all universities there's like some sort of kind of advanced business. So if you get a good OP, you usually get to do this like degree called advanced business or dean's honors business or internet. I think you have one called international business degree, or some sort of dean's honors or advanced in some way. Basically, this is a combined honors year. It's very, very similar to just doing business management or commerce or business, but you add honors. So, well, at least at our university, you actually get to do 3 majors instead of 2. So, but you also spend an extra year at uni. But in saying that, it's a competitive program. Employers know what a competitive program is. They know that you have to get a certain score to get in.
Employable.
So it's employable, but also keep in mind, and I think this is important for mindset, your peers in those types of degrees are very smart and very like ridiculously smart. So it can be good for networking and making friends that are very, very driven to achieve their goals. And, that's not saying that people in just a normal business degree aren't, because that's not true, but you do it filters a lot of people out when you start getting into those degrees. And also a Bachelor of Advanced Finance and Economics, you need an ATAR of 99 to get in. So it is quite difficult, but it's as competitive to get into as medicine, and it's very, very impressive. When you're here, it's got some sort of status attached to it. And although in the long run, if you don't perform in that degree, you're still the same as another degree. If you do get an OP that lets you get into one of those programs, or an ATAR should say, it is quite employable. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
And why did you choose to study commerce
over business management, for example? Yeah, so last year I did I did econ, businessman at the start of the year, then I changed to but I did only the commerce subjects because there's a lot of overlap between the degrees as well. So I knew I realized after I'd chosen my preferences that I really wanted to do a commerce degree. So I changed to commerce, and then I decided to pick back up econ in my second year, which has been really good, and I'm really, really set and happy with what I'm doing now. And it's so totally okay in your first year to be so confused.
Even your second year.
And even your yeah. So it is okay to switch and change and stuff. So yeah, I've done that, and I think for me, there's a lot of things in business you'll probably find as well that can almost, if you're interested in the whole business world and you read entrepreneurial books and you read business things and you're actually quite interested in business as a hobby of yours, a lot of a business management degree can be common knowledge or build upon common knowledge. So for me, spending $44,000, or you guys are spending even more money, I wanted to get a financial literacy out of my degree rather than some sort of other skill set. So for me, I feel like even if I did want to work in marketing, I can use my finance degree to be kind of a black sheep and go into that industry. In saying that, if you want to work in marketing, major in marketing, because only the minority have other degrees. So if you are really set on working in advertising or something, obviously major in advertising. But yeah, I think it was just me. I wasn't too set on a certain area of business. And to be honest, I really wanted an understanding of financial literacy. I think it's really useful. I read a lot of books about entrepreneurship. And for me, someone who might want to definitely want to start my own company one day. So for me, I wanted something that was going to be really, really useful for me. And also, I think there is and if you are in this position where you're interested in business, but you're like watching all these entrepreneurs saying that university is a waste of money, keep in mind these people are majority American, and Americans pay $50,000 a year for university. So it's a very different situation to what we're in. That $50,000 is pretty much our whole degree rather than 1 year of it. Yeah. So, but also it'll give you a really good sense of when you start, applying entrepreneurial skills, your business degree or your commerce degree or whatever degree you do adds a basis, but it also gives you time to mature. So those 4 years where you're meeting people, building your network, university is a collective of all these very ambitious or driven people. If they're not driven, their parents are driven and put them into those degrees so that they achieve things. It gives people time to mature. It gives people time to network. It gives people time to do things that they're interested in, and it gives you an opportunity to be young because you are only young for so long. And university is a great way to start,
finding out who you are.
Finding out who you are. Definitely. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship and you're like, I want to start my own company, fantastic. There's also resources at university to do that. But I would say university is a fantastic tool to, if you want to be an entrepreneur, is your first step in becoming an entrepreneur, because it is a journey.
At our university there's actually like a foundry, QT entrepreneurship foundry.
Same with you. So,
and they can like help you out for a venture.
Same thing with us. So and I think it's with every university, well, at least the ones in Brisbane, you're going to have help with whatever you want to accomplish.
Exactly.
So now that we know the difference between degrees, talk about law as well.
Yeah, law. So basically why I wanted to do law, I always had a passion for helping women, like on the legal side of things. So I knew that fitted my like values. So basically I came straight from high school to university studying law and business. I was quite set on that. And I'm really loving it. What about you, Luke? I know that you had a different pathway.
So I didn't actually get the OP to get into business and law school. So I started out in a Bachelor of Business at Griffith University. And then what I did was I worked really hard throughout the semester and I got really good grades, and that opened up my pathway. And then I transferred into business and law. So I was doing the double degree. And then obviously recently I transferred to QT to start there because obviously that was my set passion. So don't let like your OP think that it's the end of the world, that you're not going to make it, But I really did law and business because at the end of the day, I've always I guess in my passion, I want to help people that don't really get the help that they need, or they're put in, for example, I'm really interested in criminal law. So people being put behind bars for reasons that don't really have any reasons, they've just been thrown in there because, well, these days, a lot of the judges just disregard a lot of things. So yeah, but I think doing a law and business degree, your business degree can definitely help you with your law degree, but some people also do just a business and law degree because business can be their backup for the future. For example, if they want to have a change in career paths or whatever, you at least got that business degree there. But I think it's if I'm being honest from my opinion, doing a double degree is actually a really good idea, because if you just do a straight law degree, it's 4 years, and just adding another year and a half, you can get a business degree with that as well. So,
and I'll also add, I know a few of my friends who went to do straight law because it was not as long of a time length. However, they are now doing 3 subjects a semester to handle the workload even more. So they're basically graduating the same time as we are, but we're getting another whole other degree. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
And not only another degree, you get a whole nother perspective on how the world works. Because also without these types of degrees, and law included, it gives you a perspective on the world. It gives you another way of thinking, another way of approaching ideas and things like that. Your degree almost can also depict what beliefs you have after you graduate, because you're suddenly not your parents' beliefs anymore. And some of you probably won't be your parents' beliefs anyway right now, but you become even more so. And also your kind of political sways and stuff, it all gets impacted because you're learning things about the world that you didn't know previously. So impacts how you think about the world and how you approach different things in your life. For example, a budgeting wise, and how I deal with my own money is so different now that I study finance. And I've got a whole new perspective on how I earn money, where I'm going to end up. And I've got a completely different perspective on money than what my parents do. So for me, when I think about retiring, I don't think about a super fund. I think about investments. Or when I think about when I see news about economic policy, I know about economics. So like I can kind of almost analyze what that means for the world. Whereas some people just see it as free money being handed out, for example, in this pandemic, but really it's so that the economy bounces back. Otherwise, we're kind of, because at the moment it's also a great time to go into economics because it's needed more than ever.
Interesting.
Which did get harped on about. I went to an event with a quite prestigious firm, and they were talking about that exact thing, and more people should be getting into economics because it is quite important. But yeah, I'm not sure where I started with that, but all interesting, good stuff. It's going to change your perspective. That's where we were going with that. And, having an extra degree gives you a different way of thinking of things, and employers know that as well. And with law, to be honest, the people that I can name that do straight law is a lot less than people that do double degrees.
Exactly. And most of them are dropping a subject and doing 3.
Yeah.
So
because a lot of them are working more as well rather than studying, so they're building those skill sets
because they kind of
because they need to. And when you do straight law, you need to be more proactive about employment quicker, because with law you need to kind of build, whereas with some business stuff you can get one internship and that leads to a job, whereas with law, to get this internship you need previous experiences beforehand, and obviously that helps in business, but I think it's a lot more prevalent in how law works.
In law we call it clerkships, which are usually offered to us in pre-penultimate or penultimate years, which is either your second last year or last year. And before that you have to really be working on that networking and everything.
For example, with us, that clerkship style thing we call a vacation scheme. For vocation schemes, they're only offered into us for a penultimate year. So you actually get offered these, you can actually apply to these pretty prestigious vacation schemes 2 years before graduation. Whereas for me, I can only apply 1 year before graduation. So if that gives you kind of a time length and
kind of how law has,
so law has, if you do straight law, that's 4 years.
So your second, third year, you have to be really on
So for me, I'm in my second year, I'm getting onto it right now, right? But a law student if they're doing straight law, need to be getting onto it in their first year.
I would be very stressed out.
In their first year of university, they need to start already building their network and getting work experience, which is, I'm not going to lie, kind of impossible. So having that double degree for law is the norm now. So if you're considering law and you think 5.5 years is a long time,
it's really not. It's your future.
And being unemployed after your degree is worth the extra 1.5 years.
But there are some successful people that do straight law and find graduate opportunities. 100%. So don't make us
Also, if you don't like any other area of study and you only like law, do straight law, because
I definitely feel that. I'm not really liking my business degree. I have considered dropping to straight law, but I know that in the future it would be beneficial to have a business degree as well.
So if you also paired with arts degrees, very, very popular at UQ. Probably one of the most popular doubles at the university.
Just get a good skill set.
Because you get a good skill set, you also get to study something you enjoy as your second major
as well.
And employers also, if you're looking at double degrees and stuff, like say you want to do commerce but you also just do an arts degree doubles are so popular at UQ because humanities gets you can build soft skills, but at the same time you're able to complement your degree with that and complement your interests.
And at QUT, I feel like business double degrees are very popular as well. There's a lot of double degrees of business at QUT.
So that's
worth checking out.
That's the whole kind of thing with a generalist degree. Like at UQ, our business degree is a little bit more specialized.
It depends on your business major. So like if you do international business, I feel like that's pretty more
broad. That's true. But so we kind of specialize it down a little bit more, but arts is not like that. It's very broad. So that's why it's popular at UQ to do an arts degree. Also, an arts degree doesn't exist at QT. So you guys do a lot more business double degrees because it gives you, and it's almost a more practical skill set as a general degree.
QT is.
For the real world. Taking that into consideration, especially if you're going into business, especially, and you don't know whether you want to do marketing or finance, you're like that indecisive. I'd almost go for a dual degree at QT because it gives you that variety. Whereas at UQ, I can do that as well. I just need to do a double degree. It takes me 1 more year. In saying that 1 more year is 1 more year to become employable. Just take that into consideration.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for example, like you might think 5.5 years is so long, but you don't realize once you actually get into it, it actually goes so fast because you're studying and working at the same time. It just flies by like the whole time.
experiences as well. Like COVID has really.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you guys would know.
Well, we're almost at the end of our second year. I felt like I was in your position. Well, it does feel like a long time ago,
Like
but at the same time,
yeah.
it was very not long ago. For example, to my mum, it seems like yesterday that I was in high school. But for me, it does seem like a long time just because I've had so many life experiences since then. But yeah, no, definitely degree length really shouldn't be as much of a concern of you at the point. And also, to be honest, a university student's life is a lot easier than a corporate person's life. So live it up while you can. Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy the growth as well. And making friends and networking. All this extra time you spend at university is extra time to become employable.
And like at university, you'll meet people that you'll be friends with for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting, especially going to QT and UQ, especially. You know, the people you meet are like cool. Like they're people that are going to be executives. They're people that are going to be lawyers. They're people that are going to be maybe prime ministers. You know what I mean? So that's the people you're graduating with. I don't actually have any friends who don't go to university, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. But you know, for me, I ask, yeah, like it's a whole like. When you meet someone, you ask, what do they study, not if they study.
It's definitely a normalized thing for us now.
And in Brisbane,
is really great.
And the thing is, the difference between Brisbane and Bundaberg, it's normalized to go to university when you graduate in Brisbane, where it's not as much in Bundaberg.
Hopefully one day.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, well, exactly. This is what this whole program is about, because university is the easiest way to access social mobility. So moving up in an economic way, it can give you a better quality of life, but also you've got to think generations passed down. If you make this one big step in your life, every generation from you onwards gets this extra level of privilege in their life. And although it does get annoying,
I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, although it does get annoying the fact that we started at this much privilege, whereas someone gets this much privilege to start with. But you've got to think, education gives you like an elevator to get up. So it's the easiest way of social mobility. If you don't have education, you know, it's really hard to get out of a low socioeconomic family.
You can still do it though.
But it is possible, yeah.
Exactly.
But education is the easiest way to access that. And I think in commerce and law and like business and law and economics, it is quite important to be in Brisbane, especially if you want to work corporate in a city, because I know from like reputation wise, like if I go back to Bundaberg, it's very easy for me to get a job. But if I want to go from Bundaberg to Brisbane, with a Bundaberg degree, it's harder. So you've got to take that into consideration. And I know a lot of people are worried about finances, and that's kind of a reason that stops people. But honestly, I think most of us are like all poor.
I mean, a lot of us, like, for example, like I've come from a family that never went to university. Like, I'm probably one of like the first family members ever in my generation to ever go to university. And like, I just knew from the point that I was in like such a regional area that I just wanted to improve myself and do a lot better for my life and give my.
If you're watching this video, you have that same perspective as well.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think, especially with what we call a Bell faculty, it is really, really important to be in a city, I think, because the majority of jobs will be in the city, and also the majority of high-paid jobs.
And also the networking aspect as well.
And so with our degrees, it's a bit different to the way maybe a science degree is, because for us, we have less contact hours. So I only go to university 16 hours a week. Yeah. But it depends what you study. But because I do finance, we have 2-hour tutorials instead of 1-hour tutorials, things like that. But with science, you might have like 25, 30 hours of contact hours. But to supplement that with our degrees, we need to be doing extracurriculars, getting involved in societies,
and obviously all the readings as well,
and doing the readings and doing the extra work. So yeah, I think we've covered everything.
And I'm really excited to start getting the mentoring going.
Same, we're excited to meet you guys.
I'm excited to see if anyone wants to do law at QT. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Or UQ.
Or Griffith.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Bond, if your parents are rich. But yeah, so we're going to start one-on-one mentoring. I hope you guys are actually enjoying these videos. If you're not enjoying anything, like feel free to even just fill the comment sections with like recommendations.
Yeah,
if not, really tell Miss McCord. You don't have to tell us directly that it's not helping you at all or whatever it is. So yeah, we appreciate any feedback. And this is the first time this program's going ahead. So we are trying to tailor it and change it as much as possible to add value for next year.
We're very flexible in that.
And I saw you guys prom. Hope that went well as well.
Yeah.
These guys looked good. Looked real spruced up. Awesome. Okay. Thank you guys.
Thank
We'll see you
you.
next time.
Bye.